Pickaxe.
Hello and welcome to the podcast of this week's One Life Left radio show. I'm Simon Byron.
I am Steve Curran.
We are joined by James Parker, super special guest.
Hello.
James. Hello. At the end of the show, there was a little croaky goodbye. Did you get emotional there?
Oh, yeah, the thing was, I was going to tell a story out of school about the MTV Awards, and then I thought I probably shouldn't tell that.
Well, here we are. We're in the podcast intro, James, which doesn't have the same legal obligations or legal restrictions, I should say, as the broadcast version. So feel free. The floor is yours.
Well, we were nominated for an award last year for Best Gameplay or something of that ilk. So got all dressed up, bought tickets, went along. The first issue was that when we arrived, there wasn't a seat for one of our party, which it's not what you want because those seats are not cheap.
They're not cheap.
So they sorted that out by just shoving another seat into the table. And this was a table as far away from anything else as it was possible to be already. And we were sat with, and I don't know the polite way of saying this, but a bunch of coked up distributors who pretty much ruined our evening. And I've just been holding off, mostly responding to any tweets saying, of course, the real winner is anyone who doesn't end up on this table with those twats.
Oh, spicy. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. There were some. So the weird thing about the MTV Awards, which we do talk about towards the end of the show, is that they'd oversold the venue, and so you had the main hall. You had sort of two. You had another wing down the side behind some pillars, and they couldn't see the stage. But then there was a separate room out the back, and that had IGN in it. And so I was chatting to some of those guys, and they were like, "Well, we haven't obviously won because we're sat at the back here." But there were some winners from that room, so I was pleased to see that it is at least an honest awards show, even if some of the way that they categorize companies does seem very deeply flawed.
I thought IGN might be on the naughty step because of their 7 out of 10 tweet. Did you see this?
Oh, I didn't, no.
So IGN put together, I believe, this is context I saw it in, a minute-long video which was an explanation of why so many of their games get 7 out of 10. And it was one of those very modern, chatty videos of two guys fast editing back and forth, saying, so why does it... Well, do you know how many games come out on Steam this year? Oh, I don't know. Maybe 200? 12,000. This amount every day. What? Can't believe it. But the TLDW of the video was basically... Games get 7 out of 10 on IGN because we only review the good games, and if you don't see it on IGN, it's probably not very good. We don't review things that people aren't talking about, because people don't talk. A game that you haven't heard of, why would it be worth playing? People were not happy about this, and they pulled the tweet within 24 hours. Yeah.
It's been a big week for Scores, isn't it? Did you see that Eurogamer bought Scores back?
I didn't. No.
Yeah.
Out of what?
Because they famously dropped all their scores to just have recommended essential, nothing, and probably avoid. Yeah. And then that took too much effort. We haven't got any time to do anything these days. I haven't got time to read anything. Just tell me whether it's any good or not. They brought it back, but they sort of traded it and said, we'll be bringing it back on Thursday just gone. And the first game that they brought scores out of 5 back for was Zelda. Bring your scores back. What score did they give it?
I hope 3.5.
I would hope 3. Well, what it is out of... So I suspect it's 4. But I would
4.
love it if it's a 3.
It was 4.
Oh,
just imagine
that's still funny.
Isn't that funny? Imagine if they'd done what you did at Edge and got it wrong. Giving it a placeholder score.
Placeholder score of 2 X's. Actually, there was a Eurovision interstitial screen at one point early on in the night that had 2 X's on it in the bottom right-hand corner, which was obviously a placeholder for a number that someone had forgotten to put on, which is exactly what Edge did after realising putting numbers there was a bad idea.
Good. Anything else we need to clear up from the show?
I don't think so. It was super fun. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for joining us, James. Good luck with the game.
It was a pleasure as well. I think the other thing to clear up is I think I have been on 6 times because I was also on one of the little shows you did from GDC, weren't you?
One of the little shows. That's an interesting way of describing our road shows.
Well, what I mean was I was only on it for a small amount of time as opposed to a full hour long.
So it is little if you're not on it for the time that you're available. Is that
that's exactly what I meant. So yes.
Okay, well then our listeners can look forward to an absolutely massive show. It's all full of James. You can listen to it freely. There are no spoilers for Zelda. Don't worry about that. Hope you enjoy it. Here's the show.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. We are a video game radio show. We are recording this live.
Hooray! Hooray!
And my name, as the person who pressed record, is Steve Curran.
I'm Simon Byron, and this means we've got no excuse to allude to funnier jokes, have we? this time
is
round.
Live first run. And whatever you hear is the first time we've said this. How are you, Simon?
What's the worst word I can say on the radio to describe how tired I am?
Just really tired. Very tired. Are you very tired?
I've just had a busy day. Only recently I've finished assembling a child's trampoline. 8 foot. Is it 8 foot? No, 10 foot. I think we ended up getting in the end. I don't know.
All right.
Absolutely terrifying job that is. That is fraught with danger at every moment that you're doing it. And then once you've finished, is then fraught with danger from then on, isn't it? No good can come from it. Yeah. It's up now, but blimey, it was hard, terrifying work. But it is at least done. Worst of all, next door are having a party right now. So I don't know if you'll be able to hear them. But they were playing some sort of game next door, and I couldn't work out what it was. I was tempted to use the trampoline to have a peer over the fence to see what it is, because it did sound interesting, and they were calling out scores. And it sounded like they had a remote control car in there. I don't know what they're doing. But I can't see it. Can't see over the fence. I did ask my daughter when she was testing the trampoline out to see if she could bounce up and see, but she couldn't. So the whole afternoon was wasted in that regard. What about you, Steve?
Also very, very tired. I've been looking after my daughter all weekend. But the real reason I'm tired, Simon, is it was Eurovision weekend, of course.
Oh, of course. And you were performing, weren't you? You were on. You were one of the interval acts.
I was.
Quite late. Quite late.
It was a medley of classic Eurovision non-qualifying acts. Did you watch it? Did you enjoy it?
Yes and yes.
It's a good show, wasn't it?
It was a great show. I would love to know. So my niece Talia works at Universal, and for employee of the period of time that they have an employee for there. One of the rewards that you can do is go on the rides, but with all the lights on. So you can see everything happening around, all the pulleys and the trucks. And I would love to see that Eurovision show with all the lights on, to see with that camera on the stages, and just to see how they pull that off as a live event. It's incredible.
Well, you know what? Friend of the show, guest of the show,
James Parker.
Marioki Tech Tech King, Weasel Spoon, long-time letter writer to the show. He was present at the semi-final rehearsal, so he can probably answer a lot of those questions you have.
Please let us know, sure. Robert.
Yeah. I had a lovely time. I thought it was great. Really, really. It's not often you see the UK in the public spotlight and you can say, yeah, I'm pretty proud of us. Like, we've done a good job there. Yeah. And also really, really pleased with the winning act as well, which was the one that I had backed all evening. Got quite cross about other people not backing. I just felt quite validated by not the public vote, but the jury votes certainly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you judge it as songs or as a TV show? Because that's the difference, isn't it? So the jury are voting on the songs, whereas the public are voting on the show. Because I thought, I forget which country it was, but it was a lady. She wasn't wearing many clothes, and actually, at this particular bit, she was wearing fewer clothes.
Israel.
Right. So she said, "Do you want to see me dance?"
Israel.
And I shouted back, "No, I don't. It's a song. It's a Eurovision song. It's a Eurovision dance competition, is it? No one wants to see you dance. Sing."
Well, the jury do judge on the performance as well, so they have their own special performance. Right. I think it's the day before's rehearsal jury performance. So it is partly on the staging, and yeah, you should be voting on the staging as well. Which I was, but I thought Sweden was excellent, absolutely phenomenal. And there were a couple of video game references in there as well. Did you spot those, Simon?
Game over! What, by the awful goth man?
Serbia.
Yeah, I thought that was bad. I didn't like that a bit. What was the other one? Or were they all in that song?
One of the interval acts had Tetris background, as happens actually during the semi-final. You saw a skyscraper in Ukraine, which was the Tetris building, and there was some pretty trite video game theming for a quiz round in the semi-finals as well. So that's why Eurovision is relevant to us, a video game radio show. Do we have any other video game content on today, Simon?
We do, actually. We've brought a real-life video game man on to talk to us. Yes. We're delighted to be joined once again by friend of the show, super special guest, James Parker Jr. Hello, James.
Hello, everybody.
Hello to you. I forgot to ask you, do you have something to talk about? Is that why you're on?
I do have something to talk about, and that is why I'm on. But I'm mostly on just to, hang out as usual.
What was your verdict on the Eurovision?
I thought it was good. As Steve says, it was expertly hosted. It all hung together very well. I slightly disagree on the result, but then I also didn't want Finland to win, so it was.
Who did you want to win?
I quite like Norway.
Yeah.
I think it struck the right balance between being fun and being not sort of so over the top wacky that it was just the kind of obvious choice.
It was strong, and she seemed nice as well. I also liked Austria. I thought Austria was phenomenal, and I really liked Czechia as well.
Who did you dislike?
Well, that's not really in the spirit of things, is it? But Slovenia was appalling, and I loathed them to a man. Absolutely atrocious.
Oh, they kept. I deducted a point every time they did a sort of unpleasant look to camera, and by the end of the song, they were down about 60 points.
Yeah, correct. Correct. Well, I'm glad you've got video game content to talk about. We will have more video game content as well, because we're going to do the news in a second. Do we have any letters? I haven't checked this week. We have one, I know. It's a very short letter, short and to the point. We will have reviews. I guess in the review section, we'll be talking about Zelda. Or shall we do that as a special elsewhere? Yeah,
I mean, I've struggled to have much playtime with it. Maybe 20 minutes. So you can talk about it as long as you don't spoil it for others.
I've done more than that. Okay, cool. Are you ready to get on with the news then?
Let's do it.
All right, here is the news.
Me, Charles But 1.0. Asus has confirmed the launch of their rival to the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, launching June 13th and priced at $699. It boasts 8.6 teraflops of performance, 7-inch touchscreen at 1080p resolution, and 120C 512GB SSD and 16GB of LPDDR5 RAM. A lower spec version is also in the works for $599, but with hitting a frame rate of up to 65 FPS, comes a battle life that The Verge notes falls significantly shorter than the Steam Deck. Sounds like the Asus ROG Ally is something seriously cool, but considering its price, you'll need something more than As You Save.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought that I would, just let it have free reign with the jokes this this evening, and I just said make a joke about the company name Asus.
Something more than as you say.
As you save. I think as you save, obviously.
Okay.
All the AIs are lol about that right now and sort of high-fiving each other's and stuff. But
Simon, this sounds like a device that you will buy and claim is the best thing in the world for about 6 weeks and then never talk about again.
I am tempted by it. Yes, I am. It is a Windows handheld, which is apparently higher specs than the Steam Deck, but being Windows, pluses, I should say. First of all, you could, Game Pass, you would be able to access the Game Pass Ultimate catalog on there, which you can't do on the Steam Deck unless you stream it. And so you would be able to play, I don't know, Halo on a plane. Imagine that. You will be able to, do anything that a Windows device can do. Minuses are, it's a Windows device. So, it's going to be an acquired taste, I think, but, I am interested. I'm not going to get one, Steve. Remind me of that when I've got one.
Isn't the problem with something like this that the advantage the Steam Deck now has, one of the advantages is not just the library naturally being there, but all of the adjustments that have been made for controls and that are slowly being rolled out. And will that apply to the games on this? Because presumably you're just running them native on a Steam installation.
Yeah, you will. You will, in theory, be able to customize the controls. Agree that the community support probably won't be there initially, but that's the reason why the community support is there for Steam is because it has to be. In that, we're already hitting. We're already finding games that are launching now won't run on the Steam Deck. Last of Us really does struggle. Apparently, Star Wars, Jedi Survivor, that doesn't work particularly well.
But don't those both struggle on a PC? Isn't that the problem with both of those at the moment?
Yes, but they do. But there are sort of workarounds. There are quality settings that you can reduce on most other games that will enable you to get something working to your satisfaction. So, yeah, don't know. It's good to see competition. There was a lovely tweet from Steam where they pretended to welcome the competition. But it does look good, I think. James, have you seen it? Do you covet it?
I have seen it, and I don't particularly covet it. It feels like a lot of that price differential is probably just the Windows license they have to get for every single one of them, which is probably going to hold it back from ever being price compatible with the Steam Deck. It just doesn't feel like it's better enough to justify the extra spend and the potential of faffing around.
Yeah, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Windows Central reports that the latest addition to the Mortal Kombat franchise will feature guest fighters, Peacemaker from the DC Universe and Homelander from The Boys series. Fans won't have to wait long for more information, as the game is expected to be revealed in the next couple of weeks with a likely September release. If Homelander is indeed one of the characters, I might have to make sure my wife doesn't watch. Spines being ripped out is one thing, but sex she draws the line at.
Do you like this narrative I'm constructing for AI Joss? It took me a few goes to get something like that out of it, but and the thing is, it's just not true because she does love That's also not true. I don't know if it's true. Don't know. I'm talking about AI, Charles's wife. I don't know. Does he matter? Well, there we go. Homelander's going to appear in Mortal Kombat along with Peacemaker. How do you feel about that? Lots of Mortal Kombat news and speculation over the last week. You can see, I mean, the easiest thing I could have done is just filled this with news about Zelda, because that's what every other news story is. So apologies, we've had to cast the net slightly further and wider than we would like, but there we go. There's some things are happening to Mortal Kombat.
This is it's very Smash Brothers, isn't it? Or multiverses, or any of those things, to just take IP from other places and bring them into your game to create a wider audience and have them hit each other.
They did it with the last one as well. There was like Rambo and Terminator and the Turtles all turned up in Mortal Kombat 11.
Did it work?
Are you a Mortal Kombat fanboy, James Parker?
Well,
No, I'm a Turtles fanboy, so that was my vector.
having said that, your complaint on the Discord this week about last week's guest was noted.
Oh, yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
I forgot I'd write to reply to Tony's erroneous statement about the Mortal Kombat series.
Do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah.
Oh, he mentioned that Christopher Lloyd had been in the Mortal Kombat movie, and it was, of course, Christopher Lambert, the Highlander actor.
Of course.
Of course it was.
I was in my kitchen incensed at the lack of fact-checking going on.
Are we going to have nothing to talk about during the interview section now, James? Because is that seemingly why you're here?
Oh, yeah, that's why. I immediately wrote to you, needing to come and put right what once went wrong.
Okay. I mean, what's Tony going to do in retaliation? You better make sure that you've got all of your facts right this evening.
Yeah.
You're the new One Life Left Mortal Kombat expert. Give us some facts.
Oh, yeah, I was going to have a segment called Boone and Bust, which was going to be about Ed Boon, the creative director of the Mortal Kombat series, and the history of Midway Games.
Very good.
So, what year was Midway founded in?
Let's say 1986.
Over to you, Tony. Did either of you play the last version of Mortal Kombat?
No.
Are either of you going to play this version of Mortal Kombat?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Okay, thanks.
Controversial peripheral company debrand has created a new set of Zelda-themed decals, which, although looking like the recently released Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom limited edition console, actually carry a coded message that reads, "Go have fun, lawyers," on the dock. On the company's website, they took the opportunity to give their opinion on Nintendo's decision to release a Zelda-themed console, offering the decals as a cheaper alternative. The company has had a history of finding itself in legal disputes. With the clone of the Kingdom decals, it remains to be seen how Nintendo will respond. Fun you, Monkey Island.
You're having fun, aren't you, Simon?
Well, it's what you say, fun, isn't it? Because I did ask the AI to substitute the actual F words from the story with fun. And Charles Bot went a little bit further. Go have fun, Nintendo, rather than go fun yourself, which is what the closest translation would be. But there we go. Fun. Debrand. This is your one Zelda story, is that they've done a clone of the Kingdom Switch stickers.
Do you think the Nintendo lawyers will take the bait?
Well, they have been pretty aggressive in terms of Zelda stuff recently. One Twitch streamer got accidentally kicked off the platform for restreaming, actual approved press footage on Twitch, and got accidentally banned for a bit. I understand. Some Switch emulator people apparently have incurred the wrath because they've been playing Tears of the Kingdom on devices that aren't a Switch. So the lawyers are watching.
I suspect. Why would they do something like this and include that thing? Is it just press baiting as well, like trying to draw more attention to the fact that these decals exist? Showing that they're a bit edgy. Don't know. But it seems to have worked, doesn't it? Because that, like all of our stories this evening, was on videogameschronicle.com. Okay, well, let's go for story 4 then.
Yawn, the European Commission is expected to announce their approval of Microsoft's $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard next week, with the US FTC suing to block the merger, citing antitrust concerns. Yawn, it's already been approved in several countries, and Microsoft has reportedly hired an EU-beating lawyer to appeal the UK's block on the deal. Yawn.
Even Charles is bored of this story now. Yeah, will this be the final? Well, no, it won't be the final time we have it, because presumably at some point there'll be one that says it's gone through.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand what's happening. What is happening? I thought it was off. So the UK said no, and then Europe is saying yes, and is that why we voted leave? I remember distinctly on the side of a bus saying that if we leave, then Microsoft won't buy Activision.
James, do you have any further insight into the story? I have no idea what's going on either.
No, I read somewhere, I can't remember where, so it's not properly cited, but that they can't go through with it if it's not approved in all territories, because all of their operations are so globalized now that if they can't do it in one place, then they can't continue acting as one larger company, which will sort of make sense, but also seems a bit weird that we could, as a stupid tiny nation now, could get in the way when all of Europe says, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it feels like it places the UK in a pretty strong position as the sort of holdout, doesn't it? You could bargain with them. They could get anything they want from Microsoft.
But presumably, if it makes it worth it, Microsoft could pull out of the UK entirely and then say...
Which is sort of what they were hinting at with their statement after...
But when you've got an office in Reading, you don't want to leave that.
Have you ever been there, James?
I have. I was invited to some kind of Xbox event once.
You were also, this is off topic, but you were also invited to number 10, weren't you?
I was invited, but I was too busy in Croatia promoting the UK's games industry overseas to be able to go and shake hands with famous Conservative MPs.
Did you see the photos?
I saw some of them.
How did it make you feel?
It made me feel greatly relieved that I didn't have to make the choice whether to go or not.
All right, final story.
Jeff Keighley has announced that Summer Games Fest 2023 will feature content from over 40 major publishers, and tickets for the showcase in Inglewood, California on June 8th are already on sale. This year's show includes prominent publishers such as Activision, Amazon Games, Bandai Namco, Capcom, CD Projekt Red, EA, Epic Games, PlayStation, Xbox, and more. Rumours have been circulating that anyone who doesn't show their support for Summer Games Fest this year could be banned from the games industry.
Poor Jeff. I guess he's got over the heartbreak of E3 not happening then, Pulled himself together, on with the show.
With the show, I think the location is on E3's grave, isn't it? That's where all of this is taking place. I mean, come on.
So brave.
It's an extraordinary list of companies that are getting involved in all of this stuff. Jeff is our new overlord. Hail to the king. The true coronation. This will take place this summer.
Yeah, it's almost... they participate because they feel they have to, right? If one of them pulled out, then everyone would start going, oh, no, we've got our own thing again, and the cycle will continue, right? Boom and bust.
Yeah, well, I do like these moments. I do worry about putting them all in the hands of one individual, but look forward to seeing all the summer of announcements. But yeah, it's just really weird. We don't know what's going on anymore.
Super weird. How do you compete with something like this?
I mean, I guess you wait for... Yeah, I mean, nothing lasts forever, does it? So I guess, yeah, you just...
Or I guess that's the point, right? There's almost a maximum size for this to be an efficient or useful thing for people to be involved in. Like when you have 40 publishers involved, then everyone starts getting lost, and of course you're paying bigger and bigger sums for primetime slots, for big showpiece slots. And that squeezes everyone out, and then they realise that it's best to go and do their own thing after all. But in the meantime, Jeff, as sad as he is, no doubt, about the end of E3, will be making a lot of money from this.
Good for him.
Let's say good for him. All right. Thank you, Simon, and thank you, Charles Bott.
One life left. Video game news with
Me, Charles Bott 1.0.
You're listening to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. We're a video game radio show that broadcasts on a radio station in London in the UK, arguably the greatest radio station in the world, and, certainly a video game radio show that's been going for quite a long time. We're also a podcast. You can find that at www.onelifeleft.com, where you'll also find the show notes, which are put together by Phil. Phil is not on camera watching us live right now.
I think he's washed his hands of us.
I think after last week's debacle, he may have done. He did check in. He did say, make sure you press record this week. And we did. Anyway, he puts together the show notes and also provides links to things that are important, such as our Discord. You can find that link at hello.onelifeleft.com. Please join us there to discuss the show and to fact-check our Mortal Kombat news, just like James Parker has.
Hello, James.
Hello again.
So, welcome back. How many times have you been on the show before?
I think this might be my 5th.
Can we run through the announcements previously, please?
I think the first time I came on, it was to announce start of Ground Shatter, so it was 9 years ago. And then the next time was probably the Skyscrapers launch, and then something to do with binaries, Tony, and then Fights in Tight Spaces coming to early access, and then possibly Fights in Tight Spaces being properly released.
Well, leave us in suspense no more, James Parker. What's the news? What's the goss?
Oh, we've just announced the launch dates for Fights in Tight Spaces on Switch and PlayStation.
Hooray! When are they?
They are in but a week and a bit.
Wow.
Thursday, May 25th. But most excitingly of all, you can go onto the eShop right now and you can wish list the game, you can pre-order it, and you can download a demo of it to play right now whenever you're listening to this. Unless you're playing Zelda, which is quite likely.
Tell us about Fights in Tight Spaces, then.
It's a deck-building, turn-based tactical fighting game where you play a kind of spy and you have a deck of cards and you beat up goons in a variety of exciting locations. It's very stylish, and it's very fun. It's got roguelike elements, and yeah, it's been good. People like it. You
launched it into early access and game preview, if memory serves.
That's correct.
How did that go?
It went very well. Yeah, it was the first time we've done early access, so I was somewhat hesitant because I know that's a bit of a mixed blessing, but for us it was ideal because it meant that we had a large contingent of really sort of engaged players who kind of got what we were trying to do and really helped out with kind of iterating it through that process so that when we hit our version 1 launch, it was like the very best possible version of itself that it could be. And I think had we not done that early access process, we would have probably missed out on some of the sort of deeper dives that those really committed players are able to do in a way that even we as devs can't do because we're busy kind of juggling lots of things, whereas you'll get players who are going to try one thing for a long period of time and see how they can break the game or exploit the game in interesting ways, and we can reincorporate that into the game design.
So what sort of stuff did you learn, or what surprised you during early access in terms of feedback from the community?
I think it was about the ways people played the game and how people were bringing their knowledge and understanding from other deck building games to fights, and because it's got this tactical movement based thing, it's not a direct analog with Slay the Spy, but some of the things that you can do in games like Slay people were trying and seeing whether they could use the same techniques to win through in fights. And sometimes they could, and sometimes they couldn't. And sometimes that was good, and sometimes it was bad. So we kind of weaving that path between what is fun and interesting and what is difficult and easy. And sometimes you've got to make compromises on both sides, and other times you can kind of open up different routes for people that you weren't kind of aware existed.
Was there anything in that you pushed back on, sort of feedback-wise, or did the community always win?
Not some. The things that we did that were pushbacky were more when players were like, "Oh, this is a great card, we love it," and then we found that people were just using it constantly, and it became just the kind of multi-tool for doing every single job, rather than experimenting with other cards and trying out different things. We would sort of dial back the things that were kind of rising up above the rest as the kind of automatic go-to things, because that sort of takes away a lot of the fun. Is if you've got one card that can do multiple things too well, then it ceases to be an interesting choice for players to make.
Why did it take so long to come to PlayStation and Switch then?
A combination of reasons, some of which are sort of businessy and not talk aboutable, other of which are businessy and talk aboutable. So we were the Game Pass deal, the game preview deal gave us a bit of an exclusivity window on console with Xbox, which is fine and normal and good. But then after that, other discussions occurred about the things that meant we weren't able to release it straight away. But also with the extra time that we've had, because we've been updating the game through release as well, there's been additions and changes and improvements. We've been able to incorporate that into these launches as well. And the DLC that hasn't been announced yet will obviously also come to those platforms as well. So we wanted to get them out and ready, and for players to be familiar with them before we drop kind of additional content on them.
Can you announce that DLC now?
I can tease that DLC now.
Ooh, go on then.
But
take your
by
top off.
just saying this, just saying it's coming.
What colour is it?
It's mostly sort of dark grey.
Ooh. Good. Well, I'm pleased that PlayStation and Switch owners can finally join in the fight's fun.
Yeah, it's super good on Switch as well. I mean, it's really nice format for it, and the session times are quite short when you're playing the game, so you can fit it in after a game of Zelda or before a game of Zelda, or maybe if you're bored of Zelda, you can just have a go.
What next for fights then?
Well, more stuff. If more people buy it and want more content, then we'll do that, because that's a thing that we're asked for a lot. I think it's been a nice project to work on, because I got to the end of it without totally hating it, which is a rare treat. So yeah, and there was lots of things that we kind of wanted to do originally, but either didn't have time for or couldn't quite work out a way of doing. And over the time since, we've kind of solved some of those problems either technically or creatively. So there's a big list of things that we could do and directions we could take it in. So kind of looking forward to doing more of those.
Nice. And what else is going on in Ground Shatter's world?
Just the big birthday party. We've just got a new office in Bristol, so a few people coming in every day, and it's just nice to see people in real life. And then we're having an office opening and a birthday party, and nice things like that.
Good stuff. Well, always lovely to see you, James. Best of luck with the Switch and PlayStation launches.
Thank you.
Yeah, why did you announce it and then launch it so soon?
Partly because we wanted to announce it when the pre-order was available. So yeah, we didn't want people to wait any longer, basically, because it's already been quite a long wait.
But you didn't fancy shadow dropping it?
No, because that's risky if you're one of the little guys like we are.
Well, what are you?
Yeah, we're still pretty little.
Okay. Well, let's hope you get bigger through this then.
Thank you.
All right, time for the letters.
Email, messages, and forward BCC. One Life letters.
Simon, have you found any letters in the One Life Left inbox?
I've not Steve. The last one that we read out was the intriguing one.
Yeah. Well, I have a little bit to say on that.
Okay.
So, regular listeners to the show will know that last week I had an email to the team at onelifeleft.com address. So, went into both Simon and mine inbox. Addressed to Stephen Curran, which is my
Shall I read it?
given name. You can recap it, yep.
It said, it's from Stephen Curran. This may seem a bit strange, but I'm trying to contact Stephen Curran. He is my namesake. I've never met another Stephen Curran in the flesh. I'm originally from Dublin, but I live in the Caribbean now. SC.
Well, I wrote back. And said, "Hey, Stephen here. Nice to hear from you. One question: why me? There are quite a few other Stephen Currans out there, and most of them don't disguise their true Stephen nature. Anyway, I don't know whether it's okay to read Stephen Curran's reply to me back.
Is it full of expletives?
It's just a picture." No, it's not. It's completely normal. He wrote back, referenced the Dave Gorman project, where Dave Gorman tried to meet all the other Dave Gormans, and said he'd read the book and it left him thinking it might be interesting to chat to other Stephen Curran. So I wrote back to him, and it's nice. Maybe, Simon, we will end up in the Bahamas, and maybe we won't get murdered in the process. Who's to say? But currently, a heartwarming, wholesome story.
Is it now? You're going to become best friends with somebody who shares your name.
It'll be the Stephen Curran One Life Left show. Very soon. We do have another letter in the mailbag. This is from Morgizi, sent today at 5:39, and it says, "Don't forget to hit record."
Thanks, Morgizi. We did not. Don't forget to write.
Yeah, back on you guys. Don't forget to write. We do need letters. They're a fun part of the show. So please, if you are listening to the show, whether you've written to us before or never written to us ever, write us a letter. You can do that by emailing
team at onelifeleft.com. Sorry, I was just reading the Discord. Reading the Discord.
You can also use the Discord, because we have a mailbag channel in there where you can drop your correspondence and we'll read it out on the show. And we will even answer it to the best of our abilities. Which often,
I feel personally affronted there's nothing from Chris Conroy, when there is every week, and now I'm here, and it's I've been shunned.
Even Steve didn't know you were coming on, James, so I doubt Chris will. Steve said, "Is James Parker coming?" I said, "James, I didn't know that. I didn't realise he needed to run everything by me," Steve said.
Well,
I thought we were a partnership.
It said on Riverside, "Admit James Parker to the studio, yes or no." I don't know. I don't know why he wanted to talk to you, Simon. Anything could have been going on.
Imagine if that button, you could just pull anybody from the games industry in.
Who would you pull in?
I'd pull in
preposition.
James Parker. Yeah, obviously, every week. I'd make him bigger. I'd make him realise he's bigger than he knows. One day I think he'll. That office will soon become an empire.
Is this a Bristol games scene rivalry thing that I don't understand here, Simon? Are you exacting some beef?
I'm not sure it's rivalry. I think James has got other friends to play with.
Really?
Yeah, I do think that.
Did you get an invite to his party?
I did get an invite to his party. Did you? I did,
when?
Yes.
When?
When is it? Or when did I get the invite?
No, when? I'm just wondering who got the invite first.
Oh, it would undoubtedly have been you.
Well, we don't know that yet.
Let me dig through my correspondence. I don't like Discord. As an old man, there's just too much.
Mm-hmm.
On the 2nd of May, I was cordially invited.
Okay, so I was invited while I was at Reboot, so that would have been a week before.
Right.
Hand delivered.
Yeah, I mean, there was a reason why he couldn't hand deliver it to me at Reboot, wasn't there?
Also, the true measure of man is not when they receive their invite, but whether they're coming to the party or not.
That's true.
Yeah, well.
And mine was... I mean, I don't want to over-romanticise the way it was delivered. It was kind of pressed into the back of my hand in a taxi, ripped from a polythene bag of invites. So there's no romance there. And I couldn't go. I can't go. So
I don't think I can make it either. I'm afraid.
Well, I guess my invite will be passed along to the next person now.
Yeah. What's the other Stephen Curran?
Perhaps. Maybe that's it. Maybe he can be our envoy.
Yeah, that would work, wouldn't it? Does he listen to the show?
Well, unclear. We're going to find out very soon when he finds out I've been reading out his private correspondence on the show.
Okay.
It feels like he might have brought it up sooner had he listened to the show.
But as Steve pointed out he did email team at onelifeleft.com.
Yeah.
And actually, Steve has got stevecurran.com. So, if you wanted to get direct...
StephenCurran.com, is it? This is the confusing thing to me. Like, I don't know where I refer to myself as Stephen Curran on the internet and why that connects with One Life Left.
Oh, he's gone through all your stuff. Don't you worry about that. So he's behind you, but somebody behind James Parker, of course.
There is. Why is Jason Statham behind you?
Because he reminds me what month it is.
Oh yeah, so he does.
Because the real story behind this is not a radio feature. I used to have a Jason Statham calendar behind me, but then that was replaced at Christmas by this small standee. So I just write the month on a Post-it note and stick it to his chest.
Does he like that?
He's pretty ambivalent about it.
Saw a trailer of him punching another shark this week. Just imagine what he could do to you.
Oh, well, he could definitely punch me. I'm easier to punch than a shark, famously.
All right, we're in danger of having to do a Simon Byron's Fast Five.
Are we?
Well, we'll get on with the reviews and see where we are after this.
Do you keep them in your back pocket?
In my front pocket. Here we go. It's the reviews. Simon, what have you been spending 20 minutes on this week?
Well, I did. So we do have 3 copies of Zelda in the house, Steve. I had to lie to you because my wife listens. So I had to pretend it was just me and Dexter that had copies coming. But Dexter did. He bought it for her birthday, which he delivered on Friday. So he's not with us at the moment. Dexter's in a little bit of trouble. He's been grounded for the foreseeable future by his mother. Because he was caught. He climbed out the window of his bedroom last night, apparently, and jumped on the roof and went out. He's 14. He went out, and his mum sent a message saying that she sort of went past his room at 3:30 in the morning, and he wasn't there. He'd gone
Amazing.
out. Gone out. Did you go out? Oh. I'm not sure what time he will have gone out. And, I've had to pretend to be a bit grumpy about it, but, good on him, eh? Unless he's over at my house for that weekend. No, he doesn't listen. We can say what he likes. Obviously, it's awful what he did. But anyway, he's playing Zelda. We're playing Zelda. But there was a moment this evening when Kate was playing Zelda. I was playing Zelda. Ramona was playing Mario Kart. And complaining and exclaiming that she was once for a bit. I'm once. Oh, I'm not. I got red shelled. Oh, yeah. I will record her Mario Kart mutterings because they are quite funny. But yeah, so I played it for 20 minutes. I thought it had an extraordinarily confident start. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've just got out of the bit that you started. Good, 7 out of 10. I've also been replaying Far Cry 6 because that's just come to Steam, £12.50. What Ubisoft are doing is they've realised that not putting their PC games on Steam has been an error, and so they're slowly bringing them all back. But they launched them all with a massive discount. So I bought Far Cry 6 because we all know how much I enjoyed Far Cry 5. It was a difficult thing to do, though. I'm not going to lie to you. Let me tell you what the options are when you go to buy Far. You go, oh great, Far Cry 6 has come to Steam. So guys, what do you want to do? Do you want to buy Far Cry 6 Standard Edition, Far Cry 6 Deluxe Edition, Far Cry 6 Gold Edition, or Far Cry 6 Game of the Year Edition?
Game of the Year.
Which one's cheapest?
Well, there you go. Far Cry 6 Standard Edition. That's £12.50. Regular price £49.99. Deluxe £66.99 ordinarily. Gold £83.99 ordinarily. Game of the Year is £100. But you can buy it today for £30. And there's a little graphic about what each version contains. And of course, the base game contains the base game. The deluxe edition includes the base game and the ultimate pack. The gold edition contains the base game, not the ultimate pack, but it does include the season pass. What does that mean? And then the Game of the Year edition includes all of them, all of the ticks. Anyway,
okay, I'm getting the base game now, the standard version for sure.
Okay, good. Anyway, and it's I had played it before. Started it just to see how it ran on the Steam Deck. A little bit of tweaking, you get an almost solid 40 out of it. So 40 FPS Steam.
40. That's how casual you are.
Which, as you know, is the Steam us deckers. That's our recommended FPS.
Just got a solid 40 out of it.
Just got a solid 40 most of the time. Anyway, I loaded it up, did a few missions, but I will be popping over to the Tears of the Kingdom.
You're going to get your attack helicopter, not in Tears of the Kingdom, in the other one.
You get given a crocodile, actually. I don't need a helicopter. You get given a crocodile very early doors.
Okay, fine. I've been playing Tears of the Kingdom. Have you been playing it, James?
I have not been playing it.
Ooh. We're the only one, because it's quite nice to have a game that is a sort of such a big release that it feels like everybody is playing it. Like my Switch friends list is essentially, I don't know what your experience is, Simon, but mine is just everyone is playing that game. And I, as I've mentioned on the show before, I knew nothing about it before I played, except for the world has been reused, because I read that somewhere, and because of what you mentioned on the show last week, that there's a lot of creative stuff in it. You were worried that you're going to have to do building stuff, and you'd rather smart people got to do that, and it's a bit intimidating. So I've got to some of that. I'm further on than you are. I have just emerged from, or descended, I guess, from what is the starting place, this island in the sky, and landed on Hyrule proper for, I guess, the second time, because it is the same landscape, although there are clearly some changes. And that first set of islands is Nintendo's equivalent of a tutorial level. So you move around it and you learn the new skills that the game will be based around. Those who played the first Zelda on the Switch will know that the sort of differentiator is these skills that allow you to throw objects and that kind of thing. Here, they are mostly, well, I don't know about that, but the central one is the ability to bind objects together and create new things. And I've seen some of those building blocks as I've moved through the tutorial, and I've seen more now I've landed on the surface. And yeah, it is a bit intimidating. I'm similar to you in that I like this stuff in theory, but as soon as I see one video on YouTube of someone making an incredible palace on wheels with jet engines, I will not be encouraged to do this myself, but intimidating in a way that may stop me playing it. At the moment, I'm absolutely loving it, though. I'm loving exploring the world, the narrative, I won't say the dialogue, because on an individual line-to-line basis, the stuff is not terrible, but I really loathe the plot. I found the intro sequence, the thing that you said was confident. It is confident, but I think it's so poorly scripted, and the voice acting is dreadful as well. It feels like a 1990s
I was saying
game.
exactly the same thing earlier. No, I think by confident, it's just the first thing that you see, which is just the game name in small text.
Yeah.
And ordinarily, and then it answers the questions that you have. Well, how do you follow? If I've just killed Ganon in the first game, how do you follow that up? And it goes, oh, okay, here's how. And you go, oh, that's cool. And then obviously it does what you expect it to do.
I mean, it goes here. Here's how an incredibly either, just a lame way, which is almost like they've just moved into a new house and they haven't really checked out what's there. Oh, we'll just wander down the basement. Never really looked at this thing in this castle before. Oh, I'll keep going. Seems a bit scary. I'll keep going. Turns out it's really scary.
What about my studies, Steve?
Oh,
I've been doing my studies.
Yeah.
Do you like my studies?
I was playing with my daughter, and like we got to the bit where the sort of passages start to get a bit scary, and she said, "Just don't go down there." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean that's correct. Like, let's not. Let's go upstairs and just mess around in Hyrule, which I've already saved once. So I don't feel the need to save again."
You know, all of the not all of the, but the most recent Far Cry games all have an early ending where if you just turn around and don't do it,
right,
you can see the credits.
Yeah,
and if you just stayed underground, and just waited, don't touch the thing.
Send someone else down here. Get them to take a photo of these things you want to see. Go back to your actual studies. This is not why I'm playing Zelda, right? The same problems were present in the first game, where the script and the plot and the voice acting was embarrassing, but everything else about the game is brilliant. Like, as a piece of production work, it's so intimidating. The whole thing seems huge, joyful. I've been surprised at how quickly I've got used to the controls and how easy it is to bind things together and play around with them. I've enjoyed solving those puzzles, and I'm really, really looking forward to exploring it some more. I'm sure we'll talk about it more next week. 7 out of 10.
I am finding it very strange being back on a Switch after having such a large handheld in my hands for the last year or so. I mean, I've really not touched the Switch since the Steam Deck has been around, and so going back to it now has been a bit strange. But so I've had to reconfigure my what the buttons are again. Can we just have buttons constantly?
James,
we learn. Worry about that, James.
I've been playing both of the recent Marvel card games, so Midnight Suns on big machines and Marvel Snap on my little machine. And Marvel Snap is, as you've talked about before, it's very concise and well designed, and games are quick and it's effortless and there's lots of flexibility and it's ace. I can't stop playing it.
How is it these days, though? What's changed since I jettisoned?
There's been a couple of seasons of new content. So a bunch of extra cards. They update. They do over-the-air balance updates every couple of weeks now. So they make tangible changes to how it performs. They've just recently changed the probability of different locations appearing. So some of the more frustrating ones have been moved away, and other ones have been lifted up the ranks. So yeah, they're obviously committed to it, which is nice. And there's always enough to keep you going back.
How much money have you spent on it?
£8.99 in total.
Oh, what was the season that you bit then?
It was Nimrod is what I got, who's a character who duplicates themselves whenever they're destroyed. So it works very well if you've got, what's he called? Demolisher? The big, strong one who blows everything up. Or, Carnage or Venom, anyone who eats things he's good for. So yeah, I thought that was worthwhile at the time. And also I wanted to sort of give them some money, given how many hours I've sunk into this game.
Good stuff.
7 out of 10.
Yep.
And Midnight Suns is sort of the opposite. At the heart of it, it's got a really, really good card-based tactical fighting thing, which I'm interested in both professionally and personally. And I love all the Marvel stuff, but it's surrounded by this endless guff that you've got to do. You've got to have conversations with people who are just whittering on about
people
crap all of the time. Sorry, I might have done a minor swear. And you have to go and get stuff and hand things to people, and it's just none of it is what I bought the game to do. What I bought the game to do is go, I'm going to play this card and do a cool thing and then work out what my deck's going to be and all of that stuff. That's the stuff I want to play. I don't want this just tedious doll's house of second-tier Marvel characters that it forces you to constantly engage with. And I don't understand why they put those two things together, because they don't feel like the same audience. The people who want an XCOM style tactical thing want to create their world and operate in it. The people who love Marvel dress up aren't going to play something that's really in depth like that. They just want the Marvel dress up stuff. So they feel like they've been smashed together in a way that certainly doesn't suit me, but might well suit others. 7 out of 10.
Fantastic. That's the One Life Left reviews section. We've got 5 minutes left, Simon, which places you in extreme jeopardy.
Don't think so.
Simon Barron's Fast 5 Zelda games.
Well, Zelda 1, 2, 3, Link Between Worlds, and the Link to the Past.
There we go.
Yeah.
Easy.
Legends of... I went to the MTV Awards this week, guys.
Did you now?
We were nominated for Best Indie Publisher.
Congratulations on the nomination.
Thanks. I didn't expect to win. There were 2 awards. There's one for indie publishers, and there's one for major publishers. Okay, we were nominated for indie, and then there's a major publishing one. Okay, we didn't win, and that's fine. But so I would just like to congratulate Kepler Interactive and all of its 250 employees. I mean, you're not. I'm not. I'm not sure if you know who Kepler Interactive are, but if you look at their Twitter account, just to find out a bit. I mean, I didn't know much about them. Kepler Interactive Twitter. If you look at their Twitter account, you just click on it here. Their description is so Kepler @Kepler_interact. They describe themselves as a major global publisher, co-owned and run by devs. So a major. If only there was an awards category for major publishers, maybe next year. But they didn't seem to spot that because they tweeted, "What a night to remember! Last night we attended MC Develop and had the honour of taking home the Indie Publisher of the Year award," said the major publisher. Anyway, congratulations. It was a good night.
Did you have a nice night?
I had a nice night. Yes, it was good to see some old friends. I was surprised at how annoyed I was not winning an award I didn't expect to win. But I should take the positives. Good to be nominated. I just felt a little bit slighted that and actually I was chatting to some of the other guys that were nominated and would have been very happy. For some of the other nominations to have won, it just felt a little odd to me.
Here's something a little bit of in-house admin, and something that sort of cycles back to our Jeff Keighley news earlier. I booked my tickets for Gamescom.
Oh, did you? Did you?
Are you going?
I'm looking into it. Yes, it does look like. It looks like it should be on. So I'll see you there.
Okay. What about you, James?
I've not really thought about it yet, but I might be.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think, Simon, it's been a long time since we've taken One Life Left on the road. I think we should do an outside broadcast from somewhere.
Yes. Well, I think we should do it from Japan.
I think we should as well. If anyone from Bit Summit
then why aren't we?
We would love to do that.
Summit. I can't go to Bit
Okay,
Summit
then
because I'm talking at development.
Just invite me. Would you? Oh, come on.
What?
That is not a good reason to not go to Bit Summit.
Well, I've got an actual session. I've got an actual session.
And
people have booked their tickets to see me.
You could have an actual poorly tummy, and no one needs to know.
People are very interested in why wish lists don't matter, asterisk.
Just record it, drop a video in a Discord somewhere.
I'm afraid I can't, Steve. I was almost invited to Bit Summit, actually, by, and I had to say I can't go. Don't make those eyes at me on the radio.
Almost invited.
I was.
It's a bit like my almost standing ovation. Which is anyway, it's been a good show.
They neither stood nor applauded, but it was pretty close.
Thank you so much for coming on, James. It's good to see you.
Cheers, James.
I'm looking forward to the 6th. All ready. We'll see you soon. We'll see all of you soon. Thank you for listening, and thanks to Resonance FM. As ever, we will be back next week. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.